Part 2 of the topic 7 Reasons to Trust God. Do not fret because of those who are evil, or be envious of those who do wrong. For like the grass, they will soon wither. Like green plants, they will soon die away. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Hello, my friend. This is Clyde. Today, we are continuing a vibrant conversation we started yesterday, that of sharing 7 reasons to trust God. What does it mean to trust God? To trust God means for you to acknowledge that God is reliable, that God is sincere, that God is love, that God is truth, that God is powerful, that God is everything he says he is. Our stubborn ego sometimes gets in the way, and we tell ourselves that we don't need help. I've got this, we often say. That's because we have learned to do things on our own and not depend on others to help you. For us as men, it is an ego thing. It might seem that you are inadequate or inefficient when you claim to trust in God. But the opposite is true. To trust God is to acknowledge that you choose to trust in the Almighty. Trust God is to say that you know that God is all-powerful, all-present, all-wise, that God is, and so it makes sense to trust him. Today, let's continue from yesterday in examining the 7 reasons to trust God. Yesterday, by way of recap, we covered 3 reasons. 1, when God speaks, things happen. 2, God is authentic. 3, God is a promise keeper. So, as we start our series today, let's pick up at number 4. God has power over nature. The parting and the closing of the Red Sea come to mind. The children of Israel were on their way to the promised land when they came upon the Red Sea. Please don't let me preach a sermon right about now, but these people, when they saw what was in front of them, they were mad at Moses. No boat, no raft, no sea craft to take them across. Nothing to navigate the raging waters in front of them. And besides, the determined Egyptians were racing towards them. That spelled disaster with a capital D. But that day, there was one person who trust in God, Moses. Moses answered the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You only need to be still." Exodus 14, verses 13 to 14. God told Moses, "Raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water, so that the Israelites can go through the sea on dry land." If you were Moses, would you do that? Moses obeyed God, and the Red Sea parted. The Israelites all crossed over on dry land, and when the Egyptians caught up with them and rode into the dry seabed, God told Moses to stretch out his hand, and the waters went back into place, and all the Egyptians were drowned. What did I say about God? He has power over nature. The Lord does whatever pleases him in the heavens and on the earth, in the seas and all their depths. He makes clouds rise from the ends of the earth. He sends lightning with the rain and brings out the wind from his storehouses. Psalm 135 verses 6 and 7. If you're looking for a reason to trust God, this is it, my friend. This great, big, wonderful God speaks to storms, sends rain on the earth, commissions the seasons and times of harvest. He controls all of nature. That's the God you need to trust. Reason number 5. God miraculously changes lives. Let me borrow one line from a song. Jesus' blood can make the vilest sinner clean. Have you ever heard that before? There's a guy in the Bible named Saul. Can I respectfully call him a terrorist? Saul was a thorn of gigantic proportions in the side of the community of believers in the early church in Jerusalem. Hear him describe himself. If someone else thinks they have reason to put confidence in the flesh, I have more. Circumcised on the 8th day of the people of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of Hebrews, in regard to the law, a Pharisee, and as for zeal, persecuting the church, as for righteousness based on the law, faultless. Philippians 3 verses 4 to 6. He spoke of himself as one who was thoroughly trained in the law of Jewish ancestors. Acts 22 verse 3. With the emergence of the phenomenal early church in Jerusalem, Saul saw thousands of Jews abandon the traditional teaching of Jewish forefathers, and over time he became the unofficial head of the persecutors. But Saul began to destroy the church. Going from house to house, he dragged off both men and women and threw them in prison. Acts 8 and verse 3. Let me address the suspense that has gripped you just about now. For in case you forget, we are talking about a God who changes lives. Saul had no idea what was to come. Acts chapter 9 starts like this. Meanwhile, Saul was still breathing out murderous threats against the Lord's disciples. He went to the high priest and asked him for letters to the synagogues in Damascus, so that if he found any there who belonged to the way, whether men or women, he might take them up as prisoners to Jerusalem. Acts 9 verses 1 and 2. God met Saul on that trip before he reached Damascus, and that experience was what God used to transform Saul at the heart level, and he walked away from the traditional religion of his spiritual mentors to become easily one of the most devoted Christians in the early church. God transformed him from religious zeal to becoming a standard bearer of the Christian faith. Acts 9 verses 1 to 15. Let me encourage you to give serious thought to what we are talking about. When God says trust in him, he's saying to you, let me do for you as only I can do. I move mountains. I raise the dead. I speak to raging storms and they die down. I made this whole world. I can take care of you. My friend, life is full of challenges, but you have a God who loves you and cares for every detail of your life. Put your trust in him when all hope seems lost. Trust him when you feel like you can't go on. Trust God to take care of you when the darkness of evil is hanging over you, when trouble is confronting you and you can't see your way out or your way around. That is when you trust him, and do not lean on your own intellect. We will conclude this amazing conversation tomorrow. But as you go, may I ask you, in all sincerity, put your trust in God.